Recent statements by Aboriginal Affairs Minister Bernard Valcourt that accuse Kahnawà of having racist laws is uninformed and reckless, particularly when you consider the minister has no first-hand knowledge of the community or its history. Yet he goes on to paint it as racist in one broad stroke. I spoke with political press attaché Joe Delaronde to introduce a segment where we try to get an outside perspective from people who frequent Kahnawà in their daily lives and see how they feel about it.
Basically, you know, many people live here, work here, have relationships here from outside the community, and some of them actually love coming here. Many of them do. You know, we have hundreds, literally, of people working in Kahnawà who aren't from here. You look at all of the businesses and all of the places, they're everywhere. And the vast majority of people don't complain because they feel they're well treated. There are always exceptions to the rule. We saw some instances recently of signs that went up, and you could see that the community was upset about that. They were torn down immediately, and nobody likes to promote that. So what we did was we found a few people who were either working in Kahnawà or have a connection to Kahnawà, and we spoke to them and asked them some questions about Kahnawà, and specifically, is this a racist community?
Good morning, my name is Sylvain Lavallee. This is my helper, Yvan Mathieu. Me personally, I worked in Kahnawà for 24 years this month. This company I work for 20 years now.
At least 25 years from playing softball with Kahnawà residents to going camping and seeing in Osable River. I think there's a lot of Kahnawà residents, so you know, your neighbors become Kahnawà residents with their grandkids, and you know, and the grandfathers are all there and everything, so it's always pleasant.
Well, been with Derek Kirby for 18 years. We have 3 boys together, and known him forever.
My interpretation of Kahnawà as someone who's been, you know, in the community on and off for the last 5 years on a regular basis, you know, there are racists in every community.
You work here? Like a king. Like a king, you know? I love this town. Okay. Anywhere I worked, I've been, you know, you're treated like a garbage man. But when you work in Kahnawà, you're treated like a person, like a friend, you know? They wave at you, they take care of you, they make sure you're happy, and my helper, he's thirsty, they give him water, you know? No, and they're not racist at all, trust me.
When I first came to Kahnawà, I was welcomed with open arms. When I came over here to work in radio, there might have been 1 or 2 people who didn't like the idea of me coming over here, but you know, that's everywhere. And in fact, it's you know, I detect less racism in this community than I do in the outside.
I've never experienced that. I mean, I've played golf course tournaments and with Kahnawà residents, and also too, I deal in printing, and I've dealt with Kahnawà, the MCK, and other businesses, quite a few businesses, and I've never had any racist comments or even you know, an inkling. It's, you know, purely you know, one-to-one relationships, so it's always, you know, pretty good.
I've never had that feeling. I've never, I mean, of course, like I was saying before, like there's been incidences that, you know, negative comments towards me, but that was the few and far between. But in a whole, no, I've never ever experienced racism towards me being white. People
here, they take care of people. They help everybody. I'm telling you, in Kahnawà, and I'm not just saying that because it's a camera, somebody would be white, black, anybody would be stranded on the road, hungry, that would feed him, that would make him warm. It's a very great town.
You know, very pleasant, you know, nice people. You always want to help nice people, and we're in the service industry, so it's always pleasant. Even if it's rush, it's not like an expected thing, like, you know, we demand it. It's always, you know, do you think you could do this for us? You know, just like, you know, I would ask people for, you know, like a favor sometimes, because sometimes things are last minute, and I've never had any, like, even an inkling that, you know, because I'm not native, that you know, they'd rather deal with somebody who's native, or, you know, so it's always been pretty, you know, as long as you know, we do our part, we give service. Then after that, you know, it's not because you know, I'm not native that then I'm not going to be dealt with.
As an outside resident coming into the community to work, and not only to work but to socialize, because I have many friends here, it's absurd to me for people to look at Kahnawake and say, wow, what a racist community.
Interesting piece, Joe. I think we should point out that the folks who appeared on there are not necessarily for or against the membership law. It wasn't about that at all. It was more just to speak to them, to get their how they feel when they're in the community and dealing with everyone.
Yeah, because again, the whole idea of this perception of Kahnawake being racist is really making the rounds, and there's nothing that hurts more to a community that was basically victims of racism for many years. And let's face it too, recently there were some incidents in Kahnawake where you've had reverse racism, some signs that went up that people didn't like, community very much against it. They were torn down immediately. I know Chief Sky Deer made a quick point of saying it's just completely unacceptable.
Joe, one of the things that doesn't really get covered in the media is the fact that the current law started in 1981. The moratorium started there anyways. And prior to that, there were plenty of people who are non-native, married in, and are still here, and to my knowledge, not being bothered by anyone. Some people are widowed. The non-native widow is still living here, part of the community. Some are working here, and there doesn't seem to be a problem with that.
There never has been. They're not affected at all, but when the reports come out that non-natives are not welcome, or
Blanket statements.
Blanket statements, you know, those people, I'm sure when they hear that, they're just, uh-oh, am I missing something? That's not the case at all. And we have to remember that 1981, the movement that came from Kahnawake was really to address the Indian Act, which at the time said a man can marry outside and bring his wife here, but a woman had to leave. So when that law came in effect, when the movement came in 81, the Indian Act was still in its very racist, you know, stage. Mm-hmm. And it did change later on with C-31 and some changes, but in effect, Kahnawake made its statements clearly and back in 81, and it really hasn't changed.
Okay. I know.